Hey there, boss blogger. It's Natalie Bardo here. And you know what? We need to have a chat, a bit of a face-off between the Classic Editor and Gutenberg Blocks. Recently, when WordPress made the jump to 5.0, the world erupted in either gasp of horror or delight. There is literally a clear divide between people who love the blocks and the people who hate it and wish they could just get their classic editor back. So I actually use both. So on It's All You Boo, I'm using the classic editor, and that's probably because I started this site on the classic editor and I like it. It does what I need it to do. But on my new site, I'm actually using blocks. So I'm just going to show you, you can't really tell, can you? Like this page was built with blocks and this page was built using the classic editor. Maybe you can tell. So I'm going to share with you some tips for each and helping you decide if you're a blocks person or if you're a classic editor person. So when you install your WordPress site, it comes standard with the new Gutenberg blocks. So you can see here, this is a simple page that I've started. This is exactly what it looks like. You can go through the tips. It shows you how to use blocks because a lot of people are like, oh, what's going on here? Okay, so simple, you add a title. This is exactly the same. It doesn't matter if you're using blocks or the classic editor. So this would be either your page title or your post title. So if this is a blog post, this is where your title goes. And down here you can add your content. So you can use enter to add a new block of text. You can press delete and it deletes and brings you backwards. I'm using a Mac keyboard so that if you're on a PC, that would just be a backspace. So very simple. So to add new blocks, this is text block. You can add a heading, so subheadings. When you're creating your content, you want to always have main headings and subheadings. It's just a lot easier on the eyes to read. So you want to make sure there's no larger sections that maybe 250 to 300 words that don't have a heading. So to add a heading, you're going to decide if this is a H2, H3, or H4 heading. So, you know, like this is a heading. And if you want to know what it's going to look like, you can always just click preview. This is the same for no matter which version of the editor you're using. So I'm just clicking preview and it's taking me over. So this is my page title and we can see down here that this is my heading and that's my content. The site has a sidebar. So speaking of that, I want to quickly show you some document settings. So if we click on document, down at the bottom, it lets us choose our layout. So you can see here that we have a 2-column page. If I want to customize it and do a single column page, I can do that and just press preview and it should update. Here we go. We'll notice my sidebar is gone. So that's it for layout. Featured image is always the image that's going to be at the top. So this site, I'm going to grab one from my media library and press select. And I'll just preview it again so you can see how that gets updated. The feature image is the image at the top. So this theme, it has it in this little box. So there you have it. So those are a few of the settings. When we're talking about status and visibility, this means everybody in the public can see it. You can have it private, just admins, and password protected page, whereas someone would need a password. So if you wanted to build a resource library, you could use that. You can decide when to publish it. You can set a publish date. So say you're scheduling your content in the future, just like I do over on It's All You Boo. I'm all about scheduling my content. You can bank and store your posts for the future so you're never running out. So I have 3 posts scheduled right now. Okay, so that's what that means, and you can just pick a date for that. When we're talking about permalink, okay, so this is the slug. Once you learn SEO, you're gonna wanna make sure that your page slug, or it's basically the link, because it's like your blog name / whatever this is, so you can update it to be that keyword. We have our featured image. Discussion, do you want to allow comments? It's a page. Typically, pages don't have comments on it, but you can turn them on here because I'm in the page editor, not the blog post editor, although they are very much similar. And you can decide, does this page have a parent? So all that means is in your menu hierarchy, is this page a sub page of another page? So say for example on It's All You Boo, I have got a bunch of sub pages. So all my freebies, for example, I have a resource library is my main page. And then below it, so we can see here in this hierarchy, this is the main page, this is a sub page of this is a sub page of that. So that's just in terms of organizing your pages. Things can get crazy eventually, but when you're starting out, it's just about page, contact page, maybe you'll design a work with me page. And then you can determine if there's multiple pages in this hierarchy, in these child pages, what the order is. Okay, so that's your document settings. And if we select a block, then there's usually some features. You can decide, is this H1? So you'll notice this is a repetition of over here. Is it centered? Is it right? Is it left? And then you can add some advanced settings when you get to that level. Okay, so adding more blocks, you can add an image gallery. You just have to select your photos for here. There's more options. So Gutenberg is pretty fun. You just play around with it. Once you learn how to do things, you can put things to the right, to the left. And then adding more blocks, you just click on the plus. You can add a list. And then, so like this is your list. So it's a lot easier to work with. I have Grammarly installed and activated. It works with WordPress, so it keeps you correct with your spelling and things like that. Okay, so the one thing I do appreciate about blocks is that you can actually install even more blocks. So there are the standard ones that come with WordPress, but several people have come out with plugins that allow you to add even more blocks. So over on my Natalie Bardo website, for example, I am using a few of those additional plugins. I believe one's called Ultimate Blocks. I'll put the link for you. So you can even add more things. So I do like it. I enjoy it for this site, but personally, since I started my other site using the Classic Editor, I'm not that crazy about it. Also, I do find that sometimes it's a bit buggy, whereas the Classic Editor doesn't give me problems. Like you see how this page isn't loading? This doesn't happen on my other site. So that is a few of the reasons why I like the Gutenberg. It's kind of fun for creating pages. I'm not so crazy about it for blog posts, but you gotta test and see what works for you. You can't have it both ways. You can only have one installed at a time. So we can see here that I have my blocks, so I'm gonna add a new one. And you'll see that I have a whole bunch of extra ones. So I have the Ultimate add-on blocks, and it just gives me the ability to do more things. So that's how you use blocks. Very, very basic intro to using this as an option. Okay, so if we click on the gear, it just opens and closes the settings here, these three dots. It's allowing us to use spotlight mode, which just spotlights one area. We can go full screen. That's pretty fun. And the other option is that you can edit the code editor. I would not recommend this with blocks. Things are way too confusing. So unless you're an expert at reading this and understanding what things do not mess with it. Because if one thing happens in the code editor, everything gets messed up. That is something I really don't like, particularly about using blocks, but you will get to know this as you continue going. So those are the few things that I'm sharing with you. You can decide what you want to show up in the sidebar. Okay, so that is a super, super basic intro to using blocks on your pages and on your blog posts. So it's the same thing for blog posts, the same editor. That's exactly how things look. Okay, so I'm gonna head on over to show you exactly how things change when you're using just the basic page editor. So I'm gonna go to my plugins. Okay, so I'll save this as a draft. And and you want to make sure you always save your pages. So we'll see here my random, nothing's going on here. All right, so I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna turn on the Classic Editor plugin, and that's how you can turn off the blocks. So here I go, Classic Editor, I'm gonna activate it and you're gonna see how things are going to change. So I'm gonna go back to my pages. Actually, this time, let's create a post. Change it up a bit. You'll see how similar things are. So add new. The only difference is that with post, you can add a category. So that's gonna be a content category. So say for example, on my blog, one of my categories is quotes. So if this was a post all about quotes, I would then categorize it here. So to add a new category, you're just gonna add new category and you can do that. Okay, and click add category, and then you can decide which category that is. Tags, if you want to tag your content. So for example, in my quotes, I've got motivational quotes. So all of those posts that are on motivational quotes would get that tag here, and they'd all be connected. Okay, so we can see how this is very much just like a classic text editor. Nothing really crazy here. So your blog name, your blog post name would go here. And then down here, like this is your content, okay? You can similarly add media. So you can go to your media library or upload an image. So we'll just insert it. We can see that. You can also just minimize it that way. So some of the same features are available. You can bold your text, italicize, and if you want to change if it's a heading or a paragraph, you just highlight it and you select it from the menu. Okay, and here it's allowing us, because of how this theme works, to determine what type of format it is. If you have this feature and it's a blog post, it's just standard. If you want to change your permalink, that's the URL, you're just going to click edit and you're going to change it here. There's one thing I want to bring your attention to. When you create your new WordPress site, you see how it's adding your dates here? We do not want this. This is actually not good for SEO. It's very bad. So in order to change it, we're going to go to our settings and I'm going to open permalinks. So this is how we're actually going to change this and correct it. So all you need to do once this opens is you're going to select this post name option. This means that our posts are going to have our SEO keywords here, and you're going to learn about that instead of adding the dates. We don't need extra characters in our URLs. It's not going to help us. So once you've updated that, you're going to click Save Changes. So if you have a brand new site, that's going to be perfect. So all your posts going forward are going to have this format. Another thing I want you to do is go to discussion and make sure that comment moderation is on. That's just going to ensure if somebody is sending you spam messages that they don't get automatically published. Okay. So we have comments must be manually approved, comment author must have a previously approved. So that's good, just double checking. So back over on my brand new blog post, I'm just gonna click Save Draft and we'll see that our permalinks have hopefully been updated. Okay, so there we have it. If for some reason you're watching this video and you already have a blog and you have those old links with the date in it, you're going to want to make sure that before you do what I just told you, that you add the redirection plugin. It's free, and you're just going to make sure that you have it turned on to automatically redirect any changed links. And this is so important. Either way, if you're a new blogger or if you have been doing this for a while, you're going to want to install this plugin, because so many times you'll change the name of your page names or your posts. You just want to make sure that if somebody comes to your website and you've changed a link, that they don't see any 404 errors. And the 404 error is basically page not found. So you just want to make sure that you've set up this plugin. I'm going to go through Start Setup, and what I need you to click is this Monitor Permalink Changes. This way, if you do change that link, so say you published a post or you just made this permalink settings change, you want to make sure that no one sees a 404 not found. And you also want to keep log of those 404s or redirections just in case you're not aware of them. So you can come back and check and make sure that those pages are being found. So you're going to click continue setup. And as long as it's good, you're going to finish setup. So that's how you quickly set up the redirection plugin. All right, so in the future, so say for example, I'm going to show you what happens. I'm going to publish this random non-complete blog post, which is fine. Nobody knows my site exists. So I'm going to do that. And then, you know what? Actually, I'm going to change this. So say I change this. I cut out name, just blog posts. I'm going to press OK, and I'm going to update it. I just want you to see what happens. Then back in my redirection plugin, I'm just going to do a refresh. And you'll see that this plugin was paying attention, and look, it has an automatic redirection. So if somebody accidentally clicks on that old post name, they're automatically going to get redirected. Okay, so that is your basic intro to using the Classic Editor versus using the Gutenberg Blocks. So you'll see down here, all these features are the same, set a featured image. If I preview the changes, everything looks the same. On the front end, which is what your visitor sees, it's just what you see in the back end that changes based on Blocks or Classic Editor. So which do you like better? Play around, see which functionality you appreciate or like the best. Remember, you're just setting up the standard page about contact me. These pages, you'll usually not update them very frequently. So when choosing an editor, it's really about creating your blog posts. Those are the posts you're going to be scheduling starting out maybe every couple of weeks, or maybe one day you'll get to the point soon, hopefully, of publishing several posts a week. That's why I prefer the Classic Editor. To me, it's just a lot easier. I can copy and paste things, and I just appreciate that. The only thing I want to remind you is that if you're typing in Google Documents and pasting it into WordPress, make sure you have one tiny thing set up. You just want to make sure that when you're pasting things in, that you're pasting it in plain text, okay? So in order to do that, you can also toggle the toolbar and it reveals more options. You can change your text color, all of that. You just want to make sure that if you're copying from Google Documents, you want to paste it in as text. So this will take away all the formatting because some of this random code gets added when you're pasting in from Google Docs for some reason. So I would just do that. Or if you're starting with a blank document, you don't have a template for your post yet, paste it into text and then work on it in the visual. So there you have it. Let me know which one you prefer. And if you're not loving Blocks, don't worry. At any time, you can install the Classic Editor. Just remember, if you have a page built with Blocks and you turn on the Classic Editor, those blocks are no longer going to be working, so you cannot have it both ways. You're going to either have to use Blocks or use the Classic Editor. So have fun creating those basic pages for your site, and I'll see you in the next video.